We're about to do, I'm calling this lesson 3, part 2. See, a lot of people struggled with the last couple questions on lesson 3, the questions about the calculations with the temperature. So because of that, you'll notice I have only my camera on right now. I'm not going to be looking at the actual questions. I'm giving you 8 questions that are just temperature calculations, and we'll spend a day just focusing on that. A lot of you didn't seem to get it, so I'm taking some extra time to do that. The way this will work, if you get a better score on this set of questions than you did on the last time I gave you the lesson 3 questions, if the score you get today is better, then I'll go into your grades and I'll replace your previous lesson 3 score with this one if it's better. So you have nothing to lose. If you already got 100 on lesson 3, this is just extra practice, but it doesn't matter how you do because you already get 100 for the assignment. So this is a lesson that you can only help you. It can't hurt you. All right, so let's look at numbers 1 and 2. So you'll notice 1 and 2, it starts off by telling you what it is in Kelvin, and you need to turn it into Celsius. So if you know Kelvin, so you need to turn Kelvin into Celsius. So when that's the case, the formula, the temperature in Celsius equals the temperature in Kelvin. And then what we're going to do is we're going to subtract 273.15. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate for you guys, and then I want you to try numbers 1 and 2. So for example, if I'm going to say 100 degrees Kelvin is how many degrees Celsius? Well, then what we're going to do is we're going to take this formula right here, and we're going to say temperature in Celsius equals 100 minus 273.15. And so if I started with 100, my final answer, I would end up with negative 173.15. All right. So I want you guys go ahead now and try numbers 1 and 2. 1 and 2 are just like this. You need to find Celsius when they start off by telling you Kelvin. All right. So go ahead and do numbers 1 and 2. Press pause, do 1 and 2, and then when you're done, you can press play, and I will go over 1 and 2. Okay, so number 1 starts off with 50 degrees Kelvin. So it's 50 degrees Kelvin. And so what we're going to do is we're going to say temperature in Celsius equals temperature in Kelvin minus 273.15. And so let's take the temperature in Kelvin. And so it's going to be 50 minus 273.15. And so temperature in Celsius, for this one, we're going to get negative 223.15. Okay, that's what you should have gotten for number 1. For number 2, this time we're going to have 500 degrees Kelvin. And so we do temperature in Celsius is going to be 500 minus 273.15. And this time when we do that, we should end up with 226.85 for our answer. Okay, so that's how we do 1 and 2. Okay, so make sure you got that. You can press pause if you need to look over this, double check yourself. And now I'm going to move on to how we're going to do 3 and 4. So for 3 and 4, notice it's different now. Now what it's going to do is it's going to tell us what we have in Celsius, and we need to turn Celsius into Kelvin. So for the first one, we have 50 degrees Celsius. So we're going to say the temperature in Kelvin will be temperature in Celsius. This time you'll do plus 273.15. So we add 273.15. So for the first one, we have 50 degrees Celsius. So we'll do temperature in Kelvin equals 50 plus 273.15. Okay, and when we do that, we just end up, our temperature in Kelvin is 323.15. That's what we get for the first one. Well, you know what? Actually, I messed up. I went ahead and did them without telling you to pause and try them. So there we go. I just gave you number 3. So go ahead and press pause, and I want you to try to do number 4. And then once you're done, press play. Okay, so I just gave you number 3, And then number 4 is going to be 500 degrees Celsius. And so what we're going to do, we're going to take temperature in Kelvin is going to be temperature in Celsius plus 273.15. And so we get 773.15 for our temperature in Kelvin. All right, so there's the first 4. Okay, now we're going to move on to Fahrenheit, which unfortunately is a bit more difficult. So for your next 2 questions, numbers 5 and 6, we're going to turn Celsius into Fahrenheit. So let me do an example, and then I'll have you do it. So the formula will be temperature in Fahrenheit equals 1.8 times the temperature in Celsius plus 32. So if, for example, if we start off with 100 degrees Celsius, for example, we would do temperature in Fahrenheit equals 1.8 times 100 plus 32. And so we would get 180 plus 32. And so we would have, when you add them together, 212. I messed that up. I said 212 and wrote 122. The answer is 212. Okay, so I want you guys to go ahead and try to do numbers 5 and 6. And then when you're done, so press pause, do 5 and 6, and when you're done, press play. And I will go over how to do both of those. Okay, so first off, we have number 5, which starts off in 50 degrees Celsius. So the way we'll do that, we'll do temperature in Fahrenheit equals 1.8 times 50 plus 32. So for this one, when we do 1.8 times 50, that's going to give us 90 plus 32. And so 90 plus 32 gives us 122 for our degrees in Fahrenheit. So that's number 5. And then number 6, we now have 500 degrees Celsius. And so we'll do temperature in Fahrenheit equals 1.8 times 500 plus 32. Okay, so for this one, 1.8 times 500 gives us 900 plus 32. So you add those together, and your temperature in Fahrenheit is 932 degrees. All right, so that's how we do 5 and 6. And then now we're going to get ready for the last 2 questions. So now we're going to go from Fahrenheit and turn Fahrenheit into Celsius. So the formula for that is going to be temperature in Celsius equals temperature in Fahrenheit minus 32 over 1.8. Okay, so then let's go ahead and do an example for you. So let's say if we have 100 degrees Fahrenheit, how would we do this? So temperature in Celsius would be 100 minus 32 over 1.8. And so now temperature in Celsius, when you do 100 minus 32, you'll get 68 over 1.8. And then 68 divided by 1.8, let's see, I think 18. Let me actually, I'm gonna pull out a calculator to do this. I don't want to mess it up trying to do it in my head. Actually, yeah, no, we'll do the calculator. So we do 68 divided by 1.8, and we get 37.7. It's actually 7 repeated. So that's how we do that. All right, so now I want you guys using this, go ahead and try to do numbers 7 and 8. So press pause, do 7 and 8, and when you're done with that, press play, and I will go over those. All right, so first off, we have number 7, which gives us 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So we do temperature in Celsius is going to be 50 minus 32 over 1.8. And so 50 minus 32, that is going to give us 18 over 1.8, and so that'll give us 10. And then for number 8, we're going to do 500 degrees Fahrenheit. So temperature in Celsius is going to be 500 minus 32 over 1.8. Okay, and so when we do 500 minus 32, we're going to get 468 over 1.8. And then when you do 468 divided by 1.8, you end up with 260. And so that's our final answer for number 8. So hopefully this extra bit of practice has been helpful. I hope it's been helpful to you that we're spending an extra time just to make sure we all get it before we move on. So make sure you get this down. We will be taking a test, not this week, but early next week, and this will be on the next test. So today's the last day that we're spending on just this, so make sure you got it, and then we're going to move on to a new lesson tomorrow. So as always, email me if you have any questions, and I hope you guys have a good day.